At the end of the day, unlike anything else, what I don't want to get into is just stand there and talk to you, stood up and present for another hour. Because, you know, from what I've found is from doing it in the past is especially stood up there talking you to a solid hour about, you know, this is what this platform is, this is what it does, you know, it doesn't necessarily sink in. And, you know, I get bored of going over it time and time again. I'm sure you guys would as well after an hour or so. So what I like to do is, especially in the afternoon, is it's a little bit workshop based, but it's really, really informal. So it's more of like a discussion. So what I'm going to do is go through one by one, and depending on how we do for time, you know, we're not set for each platform to go through at a set time. So as long as it takes for each one, we'll get through as many as we can. So it's very, very open, very informal. Talk amongst yourselves, you know, chuck your hands up. Any questions, not a daft question. But what I would say is the first point of call is to make sure, or to have a look into setting it up on your own. Have a look at it, have a go at it. So what I've put together is for each platform, so the do's and don'ts and the sort of the thought process that you need to go through when you're first starting. What I would say is that it can be a little bit, you know, foreboding at first because there's a lot of technical in there. But the advice and the support is definitely out there. You're not expected to do this on your own. You know, I've been at Google for 1.5 years now, and there's still so much that I don't understand or, you know, never will do. So what I would say is, you know, by all means have a go at this on your own. If you need some advice and support, get in touch with Google directly. Or what we would recommend is, and that's why we work with these accredited partners, is get in touch with a digital agency who's got that expertise and knows from their experience what they're doing. So, touch on first of all what we spoke about earlier is this is one way of making sure that your business is showing up on Google. So Google My Business is a way of having your small little page within Google. It's basically showing that your business is registered with Google, so Google is aware of you. Now what that'll appear on is, it'll appear on as if someone's searching for your product or service, but it will only show up if they're within, or they're searching for or within the location that you're based in. So what I was saying before is the first thing to go away from today is just to go to www.google.co.uk/business and have a look for your business. A, make sure that you are registered, but B, double check to make that sure that information's correct. Because if that information's incorrect, when somebody's searching for you, one of two things can happen. You can have people turning up places where your practice isn't, or your practice might not even turn up for where those people are searching for. Then, unfortunately, because it is all automated, so what Google will do is they'll search for new businesses, and when they're registered, Google will register it for you. Now, because it's automated, it's very hard to get support on it. Try doing it yourself, and if you get stuck, there are support lines and numbers at the bottom of the page for you to call, and they will help you set things up. So definitely make sure you've at least got a presence on there. Put as much information as you can on there. Make sure that you use, you know, if you've got any really good high quality pictures, put them on as well instead of just the normal ones. Sometimes what we'll see is that Google will just take the street view images of your shop front. I've seen it of literally just a blank wall or the side of a terraced house. It can be anything. So make sure that it's personal to you, because it will help you in the long run. So has anyone got any questions about that? I'm not really able to change anything for you today, but is anybody aware of it, or, you know, yeah, so you were aware of it already, but obviously know now a bit more of the importance. Exactly, yeah, so you can go in and change things, which is ultimately very important. So one thing Paul alluded to before is and to give you a bit of background on it. So Google, you know, when we spoke about having the dinosaur in the we'll call it the play area outside, is to make sure that we're ever changing and evolving what's happening. So what we've seen is over the past 4 to 5 years is what Paul discussed is the increase in mobile. Now what we're seeing is without our help, mobile is plateauing. There's still a little bit of an increase. But what we're actually seeing is, and you'll see a lot of businesses are twigging onto this really quickly, is we've actually dropped mobile for now, and we're actually moving over to video. Now, video is the strongest growing advertising platform in the world at the moment. And the reason for that is because with advertising digitally, you have to follow the trend of what people are doing. Again, goes back to the fact, we cannot control where people are looking or what they're looking for, but we tend to find that video, A, a lot more people are looking at it, and B, it works a lot better in terms of advertising. We've looked into, what's disrupted this, and it can be anything we've seen from the introduction of Netflix. Not a lot of people now, or a lot less people are signing up for cable TV, they're watching Netflix. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat are all very, very heavily video based now. So what we know is from Cisco, actually, not even from ourselves, is that we term that by 2019, 80% of all online traffic will be video. So people will be going on, if they're looking to reach that content, they will not actually be looking at the text. They won't want to read text, they will want to watch a video on it. So how does this, how is this a recommendation to you, and how can you use this is along with everything that we've said today, which it can be a lot, is start thinking of what you can do now to start thinking about how you're going to incorporate video into your practice or as a business. So whether that's testimonials from your patients, or the videos, anything that you would normally take a picture of, video it instead. Also, if you've got anything, what Paul said before as well, is a tour of either your equipment or showing what happens with your equipment, what goes from process step one coming in to the practice, going through to the end. All these different ideas, how can you come up with it? And then how can you incorporate it in your website? And then later on, what you'll find is working with agencies, then we'll help you use that video in advertising sense. But definitely start looking into the likes of video, because it's very important. So, search. So search is a platform that obviously everybody's aware of. So it is the bread and butter of Google. We would say if you're going to have a digital presence, the first and foremost is to be on search. For when people are searching for what you do, your product or service, in real time. Now, just to re-go over what we've already said and put a little bit more technical context to it, is so when somebody searches for what we call a keyword, so a keyword can be a word or a phrase or a jumble of letters in the search bar, then what happens is first of all, Google will already have tested your site for how well that keyword matches what's on your website. And they already know that because they've done it already. So that will already have been logged within 48 hours of your site going live. So this is a reason why Paul went into is continually updating, and the more you update it, the better it is. So at the end of the day, we'll get higher in the rankings the more relevant that keyword is to your site. Now what we went over before is the advertising side of search. So what we do is we say to Google that if somebody types in the word eye test, and then if they then meet all of our matching criteria, so if they're in the right location, if they're on their mobile, whatever you've put in place, if everything's correct, then what will happen is your advert will show above the organic search results. Now the reason that we introduced this is because organic search results is not supposed to be an advertising platform. It can be worked very well as one, but it's not meant as one. So, has anybody had any experience of using keywords before, or obviously looked into writing their own ones and putting it on their website, SEO or advertising? Yeah? Okay. So, I'll just go into it a little bit. So a keyword obviously is something that someone types in and then it shows it up. So it shows up. So it can be really in relation to anything, any product or service that you can do. What I'd like you to do is pairs or as a group or even on your own, is I want you to write down 5 keywords that you think are related to your industry, but keep in mind what you think would be the top 5 performing keywords. Now performing means the ones or the keywords that get the most clicks, that people click on the most. And then out of those top performing 5, I want you to choose one. And we'll have a quick discussion. We'll do a little activity to show you how they actually work, and just to get you sort of mind thinking. Is that okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so top 5 keywords. within the optical industry. So what either a product or service that you guys offer, top 5 keywords. If you don't offer free eye tests, you can put in the word free. So that means if someone types in free eye test, your advert doesn't show. Because what that means at the end of the day is if someone's looking for a free eye test and you don't offer it, yes, they might get in touch with your practice, but at the end of the day, ultimately, they're probably not going to convert. It's going to be a lot harder. And Google recognizes this and says at the end of the day, you know, it's better for the user to be matched with what they're actually looking for. Now, what did everyone have? What did you guys have your top 1 out of your 5?
Glasses.
Just glasses? Generic term, yeah? Just glasses, fine, yeah, absolutely. There's no wrong answers, guys, until I show you the answers. What did you guys have?
Optician near me
Optician near me, yeah.
in your town.
That's interesting, yeah. What did you guys have?
Name of the town, opticians, and eye tests.
Brilliant. Okay, so location and optician, yeah.
Opticians local.
Brilliant. And location again?
Independent opticians.
Oh, interesting. So a little bit more specific. Okay. So in terms of keywords, the best practice, and you know, write this down, especially if you're working with somebody or if you're doing it yourself, what we would recommend for every word you have or every service you offer, you should have around about 20 to 30 keywords. 20 to 30 different ways of saying that. Now then what you're able to do is because of your negative keywords, you can keep that very specific. But then what happens is working with agencies and working with Google, is that over say a month, then you come back and you optimize it and say, okay, well 5 of them haven't gotten any clicks, or they've got 1 or 2 clicks. We'll take them out. And the other ones, then over time, you know exactly what is going to perform better for you, because it does perform better in different locations. Now, a little bit of an exercise. Everyone take out your phones. Okay, so everyone got a smartphone? Yes? Right, brilliant. Okay. I haven't had anyone bring out like a Nokia 4410 or anything yet. That'd be really interesting. Just playing Snake instead of doing activity, yeah. Writing their own ringtones, pressing the different buttons. I always had the Star Wars theme. I'm a geek. So what I'd like you to do is, so as far as I can tell, the most prominent keyword that we had was opticians near me. So if you just type in opticians near me into the Google results, and we'll have a look, see what comes up for you. So opticians near me is your keyword. Let's search for that. I hope this works. It's worked every other time. Just fingers crossed. All right, let's have a look. Okay, so if we just shout out one by one, what did you have first and second?
Boots.
Boots.
Specsavers.
Yeah.
Better vision at Bowers.
Brilliant. And what did you have? The first sort of 2 or 3?
Specsavers, Foresight, and Susan Bowers.
Okay, so it's different again. And what did you have?
Boots, Ladbroke and Co.
Brilliant. Different again. Yeah, it's working.
Boots, Specsavers, Wolford and Round.
Different again. Brilliant. In here?
Specsavers and Susan Bowers. An Essilor, strangely.
Right, okay. What did we have here?
Boots, Speckies, and Susan.
Right, brilliant. In here, guys, what did you have?
Oh, well, I think I've got a very similar and Bowers.
Right, okay. In here, guys?
Boots, Speckies and Vision E.
Vision E, so a different one again. Brilliant. So it has worked, which, you know, I would hope it was, because, you know, our algorithms work. So what I'm trying to show you there is even though everybody's typed in the same keyword, what you'll find is everyone gets a different advert. Now the reason for this is that yes, you will find that the nationals tend to have a lot of budget, so they will come 1 or 2. But positions 3, 4, and 5, that's where the potential is. Because when people type in the same keyword, we rotate them. The way that Google is set up with keywords and the way that we bid and everything, it allows other companies to get in on the action.
How many adverts does it show you on a smartphone?
On a smartphone, it depends.
It's only showing you 3 adverts.
Yeah.
And then it goes through to the organic ones with the map,
Yeah.
showing you the closest ones.
Absolutely. So what you'll find is that it does change. And again, different people will see different things. So you can actually have a maximum of 5.
Right.
Maximum of 5 at the top, and then a maximum of 5 at the bottom of the page
With the map.
per page. No, the map is actually SEO. So the map that you're showing isn't an advert. The map is actually from your Google My Business. So the top adverts, and you'll see sometimes, and that's it as well. So not only, even if all those 5 positions were taken, you've still got potential because it changes. But if all of those 5 positions aren't taken, there's still potential there because there's, say, another 3 or 2 positions that you can take up there. And we'll go into the bidding strategy of how that works and how your quality score can affect not only you showing up in those results, but actually where you rank in those results. And it is, unlike what people would mostly think is, it's not dominated by 1 or 2 companies because we don't want that to happen. And at the end of the day, down to your keywords and your negative keywords is how specific you are for that service, then you will show up above anybody else. And there's different means and ways around it. So, in terms of the actual best performing keywords within your industry at the moment, so as of last month, the first one, so these are very generic high level terms. The first one would be deals and glasses. So the keywords that get the most clicks will be somebody offering a deal on a pair of glasses. Now, of course, what I said before is 20 to 30 keywords. You would actually have 20 to 30 different ways of saying deals and glasses. And again, that's something for you to come up with and think about these yourself, or ask us or ask an agency to help you with a keyword research. Second one, we all know it, opticians and location. So opticians and location can be anything from an optician's and the name of the street you're on, the town that you're in, or even down to the country sometimes, or what we're seeing a massive increase is near me. Now what that goes down to is our very, very strong targeting methods. So what you can tell Google is that I only want my advert to show to people that have typed in this keyword at this time of day and within my postcode. You can even do it on a geographical location where you can draw around on a map. So if you know within your town or area, you only tend to people get from there, or you can even do it off coordinates and then a radius around those coordinates. And then from IP addresses, we'll only ever show that advert to people. And again, that goes down to when you're more specific, there'll only be 3 or 4 to maybe 5 different people advertising in that area, gives you more potential. And then third, opticians and deals. 4 is a brand name plus location, so making sure that you've got your brand name as a keyword in there sometimes really works. Eye tests or eye exams come in at 5. 6, interestingly enough, is contact lenses. And then 7, the least performing, is glasses as a generic term. So it gives you an idea, if you were to think about and put something together yourself, gives you an idea of what's performing best. And also, if you're working with an agency already, or if you're looking to do, then it's something that you can question them on and say, how many keywords have I got? What are we bidding on? And, how competitive are we for these?
With the keywords,
Yeah.
and when you've got deals plus glasses,
Yeah.
so does the keyword actually have to be there, have to search for the word deal, or are they searching for money off glasses?
Yeah,
Or
so, yeah.
does Google kind of know that deal equals money off, or deal equals discount?
It can do. So it's not actually the way Google does it. So what I've put is just these keywords that are very generic to that. So they are the best performing. So without going, because we could have hundreds of hundreds. So any keyword that is grouped in a category as being a deal.
Like offer.
Yes, so it could be offer, it could be with a percentage off, it could be a money off offer. Those just tend to be the better performing ones.
That's why you say 20 to 30 keywords per service.
Absolutely. So
Around deals, you want a couple of keywords that relate to deals.
exactly, yeah. 20 to 30 different ways of saying deals. Yeah, but they are the better performing ones.
Right.
Does that make sense? Good, because it confuses the heck out of me most times. So. So once your keyword has been displayed, and we've got the right targeting methods, the person's in the right location, everything happens, boom, where advert shows. What's the actual advert look like? And now you know it, or now we'll go through it, you'll have a look at each advert and see how it's structured. And you'll not be able to take your eyes off it like me. It's ruined searching on the internet for me because I'm just looking at adverts all the time. So it's made up of, you always have what's not grayed out. Every advert will be made up of this. So a headline. Now a headline is something catchy, punchy, to grab people's attention, to tell them what you're doing. What is it your service? Not necessarily why they should choose you yet. You can add that in. But what you're offering. Now that's made up of technically 2 headlines. The first one's always most important because that's the first one people read, and it's separated by a dash and then another headline. And each headline out of the 2, each one is made up of a maximum of 30 characters. Now there's no minimum. I'll go into a little bit later on detail like how do we write them, what's the differences. Then we always have a URL. Now your URL is totally and exactly what you want it to be. So within reason, what you can do is say if you go and you want to direct people to a landing page for, say, contact lenses, what you would normally see in your URL bar or the actual landing page will be, you know, opticians1.co.uk/gobbledygook contact lenses _%, you know, your actual HTML. But what you can do in here is just have your business name and then you put your own text afterwards. So you can just have contact lenses. So it doesn't put the whole URL in. But again, that's totally customizable. Then you have your description, which is a furtherment of your headline. So description's more detail on what you offer. It tends to be as well why they should choose you. So maybe it's a USP, unique selling point. But also what we find works very, very well is in these days you have to have it as what we call a call to action. And what we found is that people are really lazy or they don't cotton on to what you want. If you want them to call you and you just put an advert and you don't tell them to call you, guess what? They won't call you. If you want them to inquire today, you need to put inquire today. You know, if you want them to book an eye test today, put book an eye test today. You need to tell somebody what they do next, otherwise they won't do it. Then what we've got is, afterwards, and I'll go into them in a little bit more detail later on. So this is what we always have on every advert at least. And the below is what we call ad extensions. Now what's interesting, these are free ways of you putting in more content and more information to take more of the page up. And actually, interestingly as well, what it enables you to do is increase your quality score. So how rich content you've got compared to the keyword.
How many characters can you have in that extension?
In the extension, so the extension, what I'll show you later on, actually is made up, there's about 20 different extensions that you can put on. So there's different categories of them. Tell you what I'll do, actually, we'll just go into that now because it's easier when you've asked. So, each different line or a different category is made up of different extensions. So your first one, these are the 4 most important ones that we'd say that you would have. So the first one is what we call a call out extension. So a call out extension is you calling out to somebody and gives you a chance to tell them what's different about you. So a call out extension would be, you know, family ran practice, 30 years experience, new equipment, you know, great with kids or free delivery, whatever that you guys do that sets you aside. Very much like the keywords, per category, and actually even more than the keywords, we'd say you have around about 100 different ways of selling yourself. So that again is, we had an activity on it, but we'll skip it because we've moved on to it quicker. Is an activity is when you're thinking about this and you start the thought process if you're going to start to do digital advertising, is sit down, but sit down with everyone in your practice and have like a round table and say, right, what makes us different? What's great about us? What's different between us and the guys down the road? You know, are we family run? Right, okay. Do we do offers? No, we don't. Okay, we'll not put that on. Come up with 100 different ways.
Uniquely selling.
Absolutely, yeah. Now what you can have is they're made up of a maximum of 25 characters, but the best practice is if you keep it to 1 to 2 words or 3, because the smaller the amount of words or the smaller amount of characters, the more Google will show on. So Google actually automatically put them on for you. You give Google a list of 100 and then it chooses what the best ones for that advert are and it displays them. Smaller they are, the more that you get. So you'll see, when you start looking at it, you go away today and have a look, you'll see a lot of companies do, if they do free delivery, that'll be on there. So it's just things that catch people's attention. Location extension is really, really important, especially if you're a local practice like yourselves. So this doesn't take from your Google Business or your Google Plus. You actually input your location where you are on your advert. So when you write your advert, you put your location on there. Now what we find is, especially with local businesses, is that the conversion tends to be a lot higher and you get a lot more clicks if you have put your location on there. And we can do that. So it's actually a clickable link. You click on that and it takes you straight to the actual location and the directions on Google Maps if you've got the app, or it'll open it in browser.
Like site map and things, and you can put in your postcode and it takes.
Exactly, yes, yeah. Then also we have call extensions. So you'll see these more prevalent as more businesses start using, but it's very important. You know, if you're asking someone to call you now and you want them to click on your advert, then go through and call you, well, it's much easier just to put your information in there, and then if they're on their phone, they can tap it and it will call it automatically for you. It'll call it straight away. Now what we can do is, and working with agencies, is that we can track that. So we can say to you month on month, okay, you've had this many people click on this, and shows you how many conversions you had from people calling you. Then also what you have is you have site links. So even though our advert's really, really relevant to what that person's looking at, is you can put links within your advert to different pages of your website. So a great example of this is that if you've got, say, for dry eye syndrome, someone's looking for a service, but actually you would like to show them that you've got an article on dry eye. It's still relevant, but what you can do is you can put a link to it in the bottom. Or, you know, if you've got a few branches and you've got a store locator like these guys have, you can put it on there. Yes?
With the call,
Yeah.
could you actually have your proper phone number on there, all right, and when they click on that, in the back of it, it's a hidden number so you can track it? Or does it have to display the number that's just the exclusive trackable number?
Great answer. Question, sorry. So what you can do is there's three ways to do it. You can put your own number on there, and if you do that, it won't track it.
Right.
Second way is Google will give you their own forwarding number.
Right.
And that forwarding number will be your area code
Yeah.
and an IP specific number. So it means if I went on and I searched for your business,
Yeah.
I would see a unique number to me.
Right.
You went and searched for a business, you would get a different number.
Right, but if they save that
Yeah.
in their contacts, then
Yeah.
every time they ring it, will that number still exist moving forward
Yes.
in a couple of years' time?
Yes, well, not a couple of times. So
Yeah,
what it does
they might
is
say
it
we
rolls.
want that.
Yeah, so what it'll do is it'll roll. So if it's being used, it will roll. It'll keep going. So
Right.
yeah, there's ways to tell as well.
But you can't make it display your actual generic practice number that
You can, but it won't
Right.
track it. What
you
you
can't have it tracking it behind the scenes with a different number.
This
that's
is,
not me.
yeah, so it's interesting. You've got agencies, not Google. No, it's good. Yeah, so you can, but not through Google.
Right.
So you need a third party, like an agency that's developed their own software that integrates, and they will give you your number and then something in the background, like you say, that will
Yeah.
monitor that.
Right.
And there are companies out there that you can have where they'll even record the call at the same time.
Yeah.
They'll record the call, they'll monitor it, they'll give you feedback, and they'll tell you how many it is. But you can't do that with Google, unfortunately, no.
I had that with Yale.com.
Okay.
They gave you a separate number.
Ah, right, okay.
The problem was,
Yeah,
I'm a local optician.
yeah.
So, I thought my own number would be better than that.
Mhm.
And 1 or 2 years I did it with their number, 1 or 2 years I did it with my number.
Yeah.
I didn't monitor. But there's no way out of it. That's the only way.
Yeah, so you need to find an agency or a people that will help with it. Richard, is it something that we guys do? Yeah, thought it was. So yeah.
We have a system we call tracking metrics, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's a company. It will change your number, but it looks like your number. So the number's unique, and it records the calls and tracks all the calls.
I thought I'd become a stage, yeah.
Changes your number, but it looks like a number.
Yeah, I think it's something like it's obviously the same area code. We guarantee the first 3 digits of whatever your number is. Sometimes it's 4, so it looks very similar to your own number.
That's good.
But it's different.
Yeah. So there are, yeah, absolutely. There's third party.
To the practice as normal, you wouldn't know any different. The only thing is, if you're calling that number, it says this call may be recorded for training or monitoring purposes.
So what if someone isn't calling that number directly from the advert itself? So what if they've saved it to their phone?
As long as you keep the service on, then it will come through.
Yeah.
It'll stay on.
But it just skews your figures, doesn't it? Because they've saved it in their contact, and then you'll think that it's actually someone using your advert. It's not. It's because they've saved it, and they're changing up the contact message.
Really, they might not have found it if they hadn't found the advert.
I had that problem.
Yeah. So what you can do is in through, I'm sure that system will do it, and Google does as well, is you can tell the system that if that person rings again within a certain set amount of time, not to track it as a conversion.
Right, okay.
So you can do that. You can do that with every site, every type of conversion tracking, and that's the reason that we give people the same number time and time again, is because then, you know, if they were then to go away, get another number, it's tracked as another conversion.
Yeah.
When it's not, it's just them ringing again. And that's a really interesting question we've had every workshop, is, you know, what about if someone clicks on my advert, goes away and clicks on it again? So there's very, very strong algorithms that Google use. It's very much like, you know, KFC's secret recipe. Because what we found is as soon as we launched this, you would have, say, B&Q and Homebase, put 2 adverts on, and Homebase would employ someone to sit there clicking B&Q's advert all day. But then what actually happens is, and they don't realize, is that because the bidding structure, all they're doing is they're actually raising the price for themselves. So even though they're charging, but now, and you know, it has been for 3 or 4 years now, is that they cannot do that. So what will actually happen is if, firstly, if someone comes away from your advert and then searches for it again, you know, if we think as if they're going to click again, absolutely, we'll monitor them, and we can tell if they're just going to come back. And it's all down to, you know, their IP address, the relevance of what they're searching for, as well as how long they've clicked on the first one.
So you don't get charged for that ad again?
You don't get charged for it. And what's very interesting, if they do it more than a few set amount of times, we'll actually exclude that IP address and stop that advert from even showing from them. Now you can even, especially working with an agency, this is really high level technical, is say if you know, and you can gain an IP address off a competitor very easily, is you get them to send you an email, or you send them an email and get them to reply. Their IP address will be in the email. You can put that into AdWords, so then when that competitor searches for you, or searches for that keyword, your advert doesn't show, to stop your competitors knowing that you're doing it. So you can go as high level as that, but that, again, that's something, it's pretty technical stuff. But one thing that's really interesting as well is that these extensions, they're all free. Doesn't cost you anything else to have them on there. And wherever anybody clicks on this advert, they can click on your headline, they can click on the URL, they can click on your rating, which we've discussed earlier on, or they can click on your site link, they can click on your location, anything. It only ever costs you the same as what it would for a click. Doesn't matter where they click, it only ever charges you what you set it as. So what we would say is if you're setting it up by yourself or you're working with someone, make sure you've got as many extensions on there as you can. Maybe do a little bit of research. So what I'd like you to do now is again, in your pairs or by yourself, is get your phones out and go on www.wordcounter.net. Now what that'll give you is a tool just so you can monitor how many characters you're using. Now what I would like you to do is have a go at writing your 2 headlines. So headline 1, headline 2. Use the character counter to keep within 30 characters. Now the rules, or Google best practices, is 30 and 30 characters. You're only allowed 1 symbol, no consecutive capitals because your advert won't show, and then no unnecessary repetition. You can include numbers. By all means, you can include your keyword, you can include a bit of humour, you can include a bit of quotes. Some quotes, not a bit of quotes. So go on,
So what's
yes.
this for again? Just what's
So
somebody's
So it's your headline. If you were writing your own advert for your own practice, and keep in mind the keywords that we've discussed, you choose one of your keywords and write your headline text of what you would have. So 30 characters for your first one, write it down, and then the accompanying headline, which is the second one, another characters, just write it down. If we've got, say, 40 keywords, and then for each keyword, we should really be trying to present it around about 4 to 7 different ways. So for each of the 40 keywords, you would have 4 to 7 different what we call ad texts. So 4 to 7 different ways of saying it. Now, what I'll show you is some examples of this, so how you say the same thing differently. It's quite simple really, as when you look at it, and go away and research this. You can find it online really easy, but what works well. One example is keep it local, you know, tell people where you are. You're a practice, where are you? Works really, really well. Pose a question to them, you know, if you know that on average you get in contact with clients and let them know they should be having an eye test every 2 years, ask them, when was your last eye test? We recommend every 2 years, when was it? Make people think and engage with your advert. Or give an offer. Now it says free there, or a percentage or a number, but it doesn't always have to be money off or something free. It can be an offer of a service, an offer of a consultation, something extra that you offer somebody. Or overcome an objection. You know, if you know that within your patch that people don't have a lot of time because they work outside of there or they need to come back, then overcome that objection. Or talk to people and say, you know, what stops you from coming into eye test? Oh, well, you know, I haven't really got the time. Well, you know, we can do it in 30 minutes really quickly and have you on your way and you can come back and book a consultation in. What's their objections and how do you overcome them as well? So there's all these different ways. That's just, you know, 4 that you would come up with. And the reason why we have so many keywords, and then from those keywords you have so many different ad texts, is all about what we call optimization. Is that at the end of the day, we can give you recommendations, but again, we cannot control what people are searching for. So as an agency, this is the difference between working out on your own, is what we will do is take these, put as many in as we can think of, and then Google will automatically rotate them. So person number 1 searches, they get a local advert. Person number 2 searches and poses a questions. And if we're doing this time and time again, what you'll find is you'll figure out which one of those gets the most clicks. And then what you do is you say if you've got 4, you take the bottom 2 least performing ones out, you put another 2 in, and you always keep your top performing ones, but you try new ones constantly, because people are searching for different keywords, which you change. People are searching different ways and looking for different things, and that constantly changes as well. It's all about the optimization. So did you guys find it easy, hard, difficult to write within 30 characters? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. So that, I would say, is probably the one most difficult thing that I couldn't grasp when I first started, but it can be the most important. So then also, you also look into, as well as writing just your headline, you also need to write your description as well. Yeah, so you need to write your description as well. And that needs to, for every one of the 4 or 7 different ad texts you use, it should mirror what you've already said in your thing, but it gives you more information than a call to action. That's something that you look into going into as well. So call out extensions, just had a quick activity, and this is something you can do when you go back, is just sit down with people and come up with a list of as many as you can think of different reasons why you're different as a practice, and then you can use them in your advert to set you apart. So how is AdWords charged? I'll try and go over this just in the interest of time. So I think we've already really covered it, but if somebody clicks or someone searches for your keyword and they meet all of your targeting criteria, your advert shows. You don't pay for that, for it showing. What you then pay for is once someone actually clicks on your advert. And that's what we call CPC, or the cost it's incurred by someone clicking on it or interacting with it. Now, how it works is a bidding system. So one company can say, I would like to bid, say, 40 pence for someone to click on this advert. And it often ranges, for a normal industry, the cost ranges from 40 pence up to about £1. But then you've got the big industries like loans. It's around about £30 per click. But what happens is once someone clicks on that and you say, right, okay, I want to pay 40 pence. If then company down the road says, I want to pay 50 pence, we'll go on to the quality score in a minute. So you're entered into the bid and you're entered into a quality score very, very quickly. What happens is if you win on the quality score, Company down the road has won the bid because they've put more budget onto it, but they will only ever pay 1 pence more than what the next bid below them is. So even though they've bid 50 pence, they'll only actually pay 41 pence for that click, because they've said, I'm willing to pay more for that. And then if someone comes along and says, I'm still not willing to pay 50 pence, but I'm willing to spend 45, then the company down the road who wins a bid will only ever pay 46 pence. So it's very much like the eBay bidding system. Again, with recommendations, this is very difficult to figure out what you should be spending cost per click, because it can differ so much from location. Again, this is something that we work really heavily with agencies, and we can give them the averages for your area. Now, it's not public knowledge that you're able to get this information, because obviously we need to use our tools to average them out. Also, what happens is once you've entered into the bid, we then check how relevant your advert is to the keyword. And whoever's got the most relevance gets a higher quality score. And now if you've got a higher quality score than someone else, you actually pay less than them, because we're matching your content with that user. So that's how, when we did the search before, you'll see that other companies change. Firstly, it rotates, but then secondly, whoever's most relevant to that content. So really, it's to stop. You can have a big national and chuck millions of pounds of budget at it a month, but if their content's not as specific, so if someone's searching for a local opticians, then it's still never going to be as specific as what you guys are doing. So you'll actually pay less than what they are to be in the same position that they are. Does that make sense so far? Okay. So it is, Sort of, absolutely, yeah, I know. And then what we look at doing is furtherment from everything that we've covered before. So the likes of how many keywords you've got in, the relevance of your keywords, the relevance of your ad extensions, and the relevance of your ad text. All of them, if you've got everything correct, increases your quality score. So the better your advert is, the cheaper that it is for you. So this is what you've got to think about if you're doing it on your own, is make sure everything, all your ducks are in a row, and then you look to make sure that you're competitive enough as well. We'll not do it as an activity, but what we have is what we call the display network. And if we think back to, the micro moments before where we thought, we can advertise to people no matter where they are, is how do we do that? Well, it's called the display network. So it's another Google platform apart from search. So if you can term it like this, and what the activity normally is if you think, right, patient X comes to you one day and has an eye test, and obviously keeping it PG and professional, what could they have been looking at online before they found you? And the answer is anything. They could have been looking at anything before something caused them to look. So what we're able to do is advertise or put your display advert on people's websites. So what will happen is websites in your local area, websites that that your patients are visiting or could potentially visit, they will have free space on their website. They then, nothing for you to worry about, they'll come to Google and say, I've got this space available, does anybody want to advertise to it? So then what you do is working with an agency or on your own, you create your own display advert, and then you tell Google where you want that to appear. So then what happens is you go in, do a little bit of research and think, right, is there any local council events that we can advertise on? Is there any other local companies or bloggers that are within a local area? What are people in your area looking at? Then you advertise to them. Now what you're able to do then is build your brand awareness. So this doesn't actually contribute directly with people clicking on the adverts. They can click on the adverts and go through to your website and learn more, but most of the time they don't. But what we're trying to do is get that subconscious message over to them that you are here, you're local, you offer a service. So then when they do think to come and search from you, bingo, they've already seen you here, they see your advert again, it provides that authenticity and you're more likely to get a click from them. Does that make sense? So And what we'll go on to next is the next stage. So what we should really be doing is building our brand awareness in the local area with display, capturing everyone who then searches for us on search, and then, oh, I'll just share that with you before. So Paul, and this is the next stages, Paul shared with it before. So if you're doing everything, you've got everything, all your ducks in a row, you're bidding competitively, you've got an amazing quality score, on average, 96% of people who come to your website, paid or unpaid, will actually leave without doing anything. So you're actually, everything you're gaining is only 4%. Now this is with nothing in place. So what do we do to combat that? Is what we call remarketing. So there's two ways we can do this. So what you do is when someone comes to your website and clicks on an advert, they come through to your website, and as we've seen before, half of those people will go away just to find somebody else to compare prices, and then the rest will just bounce because, you know, they haven't got time, loads of different reasons we cannot come up with. So what are we doing? Now, have we got a presence once we've done everything else, we've paid money to get them there, they've left, have we got a presence once they leave? And you can. First one, you can advertise onto the display network to people who have only been on your website beforehand. So you can even do it if you've got an e-commerce website, you can display the specific product that they've looked at. And you'll see this when you leave a website and products follow you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I understand. So what you'll find is as well though, is we're very, very smart on how we do this. There are other companies in there, or out there that do it, but what they do is they don't put caps on it. And they won't do what we call dynamic remarketing. So, you know, Paul bought a set of scales. He could then leave that website and they'll try and remarket a set of scales to him. Well, you've already bought it. Or then you'll see the same advert for a month. So what we do is we put in place so that doesn't happen. So you can say, I only want that customer to look at my advert once or twice more. Cap it. Or if you know that they've taken part in a service, then there's no need to remarket to them anyway because they've already converted. What's very brand new, and I would say is definitely, especially if you're working with an agency, is make sure they've got something called search remarketing in place. So what this means is, or RLSA, is that if someone comes through, you know, searches for your site, clicks on your advert, goes through to your website, then leaves, 9 times out of 10, they'll search for that same keyword again within the same day. Now, if you've got remarketing strategy in place, you can tell Google that you're willing to pay a little bit more on your bid for those people because they're more likely to click on you again. What will actually happen is if you've got that in place, we capture their IP, is your advert will automatically go to the top of the page straight away. Because Google know that they've already clicked on you, it's very relevant to what they do, they're probably just looking around. And if you can remarket to them and enforce your name again, you know, you are much more likely to be able to get the click from them. So other Google platforms, just quickly before we go away, is you might not know that YouTube is actually Google. So it is Google, it wasn't bought by Google, Google developed it, and it's actually based on, there's 4 floors in the London head office where everything's done out of. So the different type of advertising you can do on YouTube, like I said, if you've got your videos that look really great, you can very much, like the display network, is put your video in front of people who are searching for relevant content. So you can put that video in front of people, or you can put a very, very short advert at 6 seconds. Now what you'll notice is, does everyone hate those adverts that you cannot skip?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be gone by 2018. Right. We're getting rid of them. Yeah, you can't skip most adverts now, we're phasing them out. What's going to replace them is a 6-second advert, because they didn't work. They would charge someone, they would charge a company, people wouldn't interact with them. Another way of advertising is Gmail. These are like sort of further strategies that you would look at. Once you've got your search and your display and remarketing, there's always something more you can be doing. So Gmail, off the top of my head, I think it's 65 or 66% now of the entire world's population have got a Gmail account. So what you'll see is at the top of your Gmail account, there'll be a promotions tab. What you're able to do is search through keywords that people are looking for on their emails, You can even do it down to if, say, you know, we'll go back to it again. So if you got an order confirmation from B&Q and you were home base and you knew that in a month's time they're going to need, I don't know, some extra wire for the strimmer, is you can serve an advert on their Gmail and say, do you need this in a month's time? These are all further strategies that we can help with and support with. And we give you these ideas and then show you how to do them, or we do them for you. So I know it's very, very technical. Well, that's one word you want to describe it as. So thank you very much. Well, I think we've got time for a few questions. 10 minutes for questions. I'm going to sit down because there's going to be a barrage, I can tell. That's fine.